Hurricane Irma, where it is now and what we know. Winds and rain pick up as Hurricane Irma moves across South Florida and the Florida Keys. Jack Gruber, USA Today. Mandatory credit, Kelly Jordan USA Today photo, KJ, Kelly Jordan. Hurricane Irma blasted into Florida on Sunday, crashing through the Florida Keys before making a second landfall near Naples on the Gulf Coast and setting a course for Georgia. It flooded streets and snapped construction cranes in the process, lashing mainland Florida while weakening to a Category 2 hurricane. The storm has killed at least 20 people since roaring out of the open Atlantic Ocean and chewing through a string of Caribbean islands. Where is Hurricane Irma now? The center of the storm was about 15 miles east-northeast of Fort Myers, Florida, and 30 miles southeast of Port Charlotte, Florida, the National Hurricane Center in Miami said. Irma is moving to the north at 14 miles per hour. The hurricane was downgraded on Sunday to a Category 2 storm on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, with its sustained winds dropped slightly to 105 miles per hour. Tropical storm conditions are anticipated within a 220-mile reach, said National Hurricane Center Chief Hurricane Specialist Michael Brennan. When will Irma hit mainland Florida? After raking the Keys mid-morning Sunday and making landfall near Naples this afternoon, the storm is forecast to move near or over the west coast of the Florida peninsula overnight. It's then slated to move inland over northern Florida and southwestern Georgia on Monday. The National Hurricane Center issued a hurricane warning for both coasts of the peninsula up through central parts of the state. Where will Irma hit Florida? The worst of Hurricane Irma is now forecast along the west coast of Florida after its track shifted overnight. Will act like a giant buzzsaw as it plows up the state's west coast into Monday, battering cities such as Naples, Fort Myers, Sarasota, and the Tampa-St. Petersburg area with hurricane-force winds, torrential rain, and devastating storm surge inundation. This will be the worst single hurricane to hit Florida since Hurricane Andrew in 1992, said meteorologist Joel N. Myers, head of AccuWeather. When was the last time a hurricane hit the Tampa area? The most recent major, Category 3 or above, hurricane to directly hit the Tampa Bay area was on October. That storm came ashore in Tarpon Springs, Florida, just north of Tampa St. Petersburg, with winds estimated at 120 miles per hour. A storm surge estimated at 11 feet flooded much of the city. The storm killed 6 people in the Tampa St. Petersburg area, and damage was estimated at $2 million in 1921 dollars. A similar impact today would be a far different story, as the metro area's population has soared in the past 100 years, from around 50,000 in 1920 to 3 million people. The 1921 hurricane was the most destructive hurricane to hit the Tampa area since 1848, the Weather Service said. How strong will Irma be at landfall? The storm hit Kajiki at Category 4 strength, as predicted, with ferocious 130 miles per hour winds. Another landfall is expected late Sunday or early Monday. Locations where a Category 4 eyewall hits will see power outages that will last weeks to possibly months. Most of the area will be uninhabitable for weeks or months, the Hurricane Center said. How bad can the storm surge be? Storm surge, the wall of seawater that roars ashore as a hurricane makes landfall, inundating coastal areas, will be dangerous and life-threatening for people who didn't evacuate. Some areas could see up to 15 feet of seawater pushed ashore from Irma, the Hurricane Center said. Storm surge warnings have been hoisted all the way from the Keys to north of Tampa. What about rain, wind and tornadoes? Irma will bring all these into play as it delivers a savage blow to nearly the entire state of Florida. Fierce winds could also rip some buildings to shreds across the state. Wind gusts approaching 160 miles per hour are possible in some areas. While the colossal flooding seen during Harvey may not be the primary threat from Irma, some parts of Florida could see as much as 20 inches of rain. In addition, a few brief tornadoes are possible across portions of the Florida Peninsula and coastal Georgia and South Carolina Sunday as Hurricane Irma impacts the region. How many people are evacuating? In one of the biggest evacuations ever ordered in the U.S., about 6.3 million people in Florida, more than 1/4 of the state's population, have now been told to clear out from threatened areas, and another 540,000 were directed to move away from the Georgia coast. In Florida, 54,000 people had already taken refuge in the more than 320 shelters located in every county outside the highly vulnerable Keys. How many people could lose power? Rick Scott said over 381,000 people had already lost power Sunday morning in Florida as dangerous winds began lashing southern parts of the state. Florida Power and Light officials said as many as 9 million customers could lose power as Hurricane Irma roars ashore. The company provides electricity to 10 million people across nearly half the state. How many flights have been cancelled? Airline cancellations continued to pile up in Florida and the Southeast as Hurricane Irma was set to make landfall later Sunday. At least 7,000 flights to or from Florida had been canceled because of Irma just by 6 p.m. Saturday, according to flight tracking service FlightAware. Overall, more than 10,600 flights have been cancelled since Irma first began affecting flights in the Caribbean. Hundreds more, possibly thousands more, may ultimately be tacked onto that tally as Irma moves inland over Florida and then into Georgia and Alabama. What about Hurricane Jose? Already battered and reeling from Hurricane Irma, isolated Caribbean islands lacking infrastructure, communications, medical supplies and other essentials prepared to weather another potent hurricane Saturday as Jose bore down on the region. Jose was headed toward the northern Leeward Islands, which include Antigua and Barbuda, St. Martin and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, with sustained winds of 150 miles per hour Category 4 storm. Irma already left a trail of flooded streets, toppled buildings, uprooted trees, upside-down boats and cars, and residents and visitors scrambling to secure shelter, food and clean water. Many people were looking for ways off the islands. NASA on Friday released footage of Hurricanes Jose and Irma as they appear from the International Space Station. September. How could Irma impact Florida's economy? Hurricane Irma is expected to pose at least a temporary setback to Florida's sizzling economy as it takes aim at the heart of the nation's citrus production and batters its robust tourism industry. But if the storm causes extensive damage that discourages incoming retirees and tempers runaway population growth, the economic effects could be more substantial, analysts say. Will Irma harm Florida's citrus crops? Florida is the nation's top citrus producer and also leads in sugarcane, tomatoes, watermelons and fresh market cucumbers, according to state government data. Farmers are trying to drain fields of excess water, secure equipment and ensure water pumps work in the event of flooding, says Lisa Lockridge, spokeswoman for the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association. The most immediate worry is the vast orange crop in Central and South Florida. Risks to the crop have increased since forecasts altered the storm's projected path westward, says Chris Hyde, agricultural meteorologist at MDA Weather Services. How will Irma impact other states?